Two of the biggest names in the NFL draft, Dane Brugler and Mel Kiper Jr., dropped their mock drafts. What are our takeaways and who are the big movers in the 2026 NFL draft on today's NFL Six Pack?
This is Locked On's NFL Six Pack. 6 bold takes from two guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff. Just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six Pack. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson. Thanks everybody for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. And thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Notification bell, thumbs up. We appreciate you for it. And today we are talking mock drafts and what our biggest takeaways are from the heavy hitters in the industry and what we're learning about this draft class a little bit over a week away from the first round getting underway, Matt. And so Dane Brugler dropped a 7-round mock draft on the Athletic today, and Mel Kiper Jr. a 2-round mock draft. And I love Mel. Mel's an OG. Was doing it before anybody else, so I hope Mel keeps going, even though he might not be the first place I go to for draft knowledge these days. But he is a plug-in guy, and it's interesting to see what is similar about some of these mock drafts, what folks are hearing around the NFL. We'll check in with a little bit of knowledge from Peter Schrager, who's very plugged in, and then Todd McShay dropped a mock draft as well. That kind of ties into some of this stuff. But what is your biggest takeaway? What's number one here in our 6-pack of takeaways from the some of the most plugged in people in the NFL draft universe?
Yeah, and these guys are really plugged in, and I want to take a second, and I did this with Marcus on Locked On Dynasty too. Somewhere in my attic, it's probably starting in 1980 until Mel stopped putting out the blue book. I think I have every one. And I would wear that thing out cover to cover, all the time. And
I used to always have all of the Bush Bomb, was it Pro Football Weekend? Books that came out, and I would always go check the bookstore. This is like early 2000s to see if the book was out yet, and then finally you'd get it, and it didn't. It was funny because back then you would get the book and it was way after the combine, but it was printed before the combine information, so some of the height weights were even wrong. But it was awesome to go through there and see all the players. And the late Joel Bushbaum was also an OG along with Mel Kiper. But we've got some great resources these days too, like Dane Brugler and some of the newer. Brugler's been doing this for a long time though now.
Oh, he has. So my dad also worked in downtown Pittsburgh. He would take like the subway in every day, hit newsstands for me and be like, try this one. I found a new one. And my mom every year would take me to the airport, which isn't exactly close, because they had an incredible newsstand, and I'd buy like 7 draft guides, It was awesome. I had a whole stack of them.
Cowboys are moving up.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, because every one of these had the Cowboys moving up to go get a, quote, blue chip guy, And I was talking to Marcus, host on Locked On Cowboys, and he's like, I think that's very real.
Yeah. And by the way, we've got fireworks in our Locked On NFL mock draft special that was recorded and is going to be released very soon. So tune in there, because there are multiple trades in the first round, and Marcus being the co-host of Locked On Cowboys there as well. And so every mock draft at this point and every insider believes that the Cowboys have the opportunity and maybe the incentive to go get a blue chip player, probably a defensive player.
Yeah.
What were the trades here in the Brugler mock and the Kiper mock for the Cowboys? The Cowboys went up for Sonny Styles with the Browns at pick number 6 in Brugler's mock draft. Giving up quite a bit. Very interesting projected trade here based on what we know from our mock draft special. Did you see what the Browns received in this trade up?
In which one? Mel's
in Brugler's, the Browns.
Both 6. Of them, they went to 6 for Styles.
So, you're right. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to juggle these two mock drafts and bring everything together here. So they both went up for Styles. In the Kiper mock, I don't see an exact
compensation.
Yeah, but the compensation in Brugler's mock draft would be that the Browns get both of those first-round picks from the Cowboys 12 and 20 to go up to number 6, also get a 2027 4th round pick, but they would not only get number 6 back, they would get the second rounder this year, number 39 from the Browns. So that would give the Browns 3 first-round picks, and that would give
a second if I'm Cleveland.
And give up a second, though, to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I think I'd be all over that if I'm the Browns.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, getting a second back does help if you are the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Because it's an early second, too.
Yeah, you're dropping from 20 to 39 rather than just losing an entire first-round pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, people don't factor that in enough.
Yeah. And so, Sonny Styles, what do you think? Is an off-ball linebacker? There's conversations that an off-ball backer wouldn't even be worth pick 6 anyway, but let alone you're moving up and spending a lot to go get a off-ball linebacker at pick number 6 if you're the Cowboys.
I do think the perception and value of off-the-ball linebacker is going up, though. And a lot of it's because the Fangio scheme has become so prevalent and they ask so much of that position. I also think it's risky. I mean, there's a lot of first-round busts at the linebacker position, and there's certainly a lot of athletes that get overdrafted that don't see the game like a first-round player, but they move like a first-round player. I mean, Devin White's like the best example I can remember. I mean, there's a lot of those types over the years that guys like Shanahan just manipulate to no end until they get it right. But I also, when I say there's a risk, man, I mean, you'd know this better than anyone, but when you have an elite guy, boy, is that an ace up your sleeve, though. It is just a rare thing and a rare advantage.
Absolutely. You look at off-ball linebackers and first-round guys, and it's not a great hit rate.
No.
And the reason why is because it's still a neck-up position, but you need a good athlete plus neck-up, and that's what you're chasing. But if you're chasing 6'5", ran 4.3 or whatever, that's where all the misses come. And
right.
You have to have an off-the-charts grade on the instincts. And I know you don't like the term instincts, but
it applies. I get it.
How smart you are as a linebacker, because everyone wants to compare Sonny Styles to Fred Warner. Well, Fred Warner ran a 4.6. Like, he was a good athlete, but he was, a freak of nature. His special quality was he was athletic, did a lot in coverage in college. He kind of played that star overhang, borderline safety position, came to the NFL, and day one had the green dot on his helmet and has been the leader of the defense. So are you a leader of men? Are you going to have a green dot from day one? That's the underrated part of what Fred Warner can do. And he can run and cover and do everything you need a linebacker to do, and is physical and plays a certain way. If you just think that a great athlete's going to be a great linebacker, you're going to miss in the NFL draft. Yeah,
the Devin linebacker draft I kind of referenced. I mean, Devin White went like 5, and he still runs the wrong way. I mean, he just runs real fast.
Yeah,
and then the Steelers
the wrong way, and that step can be made up very quickly by a slower, smarter football player.
Absolutely. And then the Steelers made the similar mistake and moved, I think, from 20 or 21 up for Devin Bush, who now is starting to put it together. And you do see some linebackers in year like 3 and 4 save their careers, but it was still a catastrophic move by the Steelers.
And one of the things I'll add about linebackers that are former safeties, you're like, oh, this guy's a former safety, he must be good in coverage. It's like, the reason he was moved to linebacker, he wasn't in coverage as a safety.
Yeah. So and Styles like Reese, I mean, there are very young prospects too. They're only 20 years old. I mean, usually you look at that like a good thing, but to be the leader of the Dallas Cowboys defense and scrutinized to no end.
I would tend, if I'm the Cowboys and I'm in charge, and not saying that this is unrealistic or not going to happen or they don't love Sonny Styles. I am the Cowboys and I'm trading up for a player, it's an edge.
It's an edge. Yeah.
And I would probably have to be like Arvell Reese level if you're talking about a couple of first round picks, which brings us to our next topic, which is the hinge point of this draft. How much more would it cost to go up to pick 3?
Oh, I think Arizona's open for business in a big way.
Right. So I think
they might do the exact same deal.
The hinge, and I'm sure the Browns aren't loving exactly where they are and would be fine with moving back to 12, but they do have a couple of first round picks. Could that trade happen even before the Browns for a team moving up, or maybe a different team moves up ahead of, to the pick 3-4 area of this draft? Let's talk about that next. Where is Ty
super quick, BP? I mean, it's too hard for us to sit here and analyze 3 mocks, but you did mention McShay had one. I mean, he had the Saints moving to 3. I mean, he had a lot of teams being really aggressive to get to that blue chip neighborhood, you know?
How come nobody has the Steelers moving around with all those extra picks they have?
I know. I keep having them moving up in the second round.
Yeah, second round I think might make a little bit more sense. Or you go from third back into the second and get another top 50-ish player, another but like there's just too much ammunition for the Steelers not to be a team that can move up, and they could just drop a third rounder and move up from 21 just to, to make sure they get their guy at, in the teens instead.
Yeah. I think they could move up 2 or 3 spots in the first round. I also think that I talk about this all the time. They don't have 12 roster spots to draft 12 guys either. I mean, they'd love to turn a third round pick into a future second so you can help move up for your quarterback, but I don't know what teams are going to do that,
Interesting. Yeah.
A
ploy for them is to try to
get some future capital
later rather than even moving up this year. So
yeah.
There's going to be some movement. A lot of teams with a lot of different picks in different rounds that is going to spur, I think, some movement in this. And the Cowboys could be one of those, obviously, with 2 picks and an aggressive organization.
Yeah. No one's going to tell Jerry no.
So hinge points in the first round, D tackles, wide receivers, where are they going to go based on the latest information? Next. Today's episode of NFL Six Pack is brought to you by Rougiette. The NFL draft is here, where preparation meets opportunity, and every decision matters. It's all about being ready when your moment comes. And that same mindset applies off the field too. That's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette offers treatments designed to help you feel ready and confident when it matters most. Their top option, Rougiette Ready, is a mint that dissolves under your tongue with clinically proven ingredients. It works quickly, often in about 15 minutes, and can last up to 36 hours. And they also offer Go Long, designed to help with both performance and control. It's all about showing up at your best whenever your moment is. So head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnNFL and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's Rougiette, RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Rougiette Performance Medicine for Men. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Love our everydayers. We appreciate you. And if you are an everydayer, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Ad-free episodes of this show and access to a group chat with me and other listeners on the Locked On Network. Tap the link in the show notes or go to NFL6pack.supercast.com. Here we go. Let's talk. Okay, I think the hinge point is earlier than pick 6 in the Browns. I think it's pick 3 and probably 4, and it's going to dictate what happens for a lot of teams behind them. And I do think Arvell Reese is the number 2 pick in this draft and clearly the second best prospect in this draft. But if the Jets were to do something like Bailey instead, then I think we could get a lot of action for Reese at pick number 3. And who knows, maybe the Cardinals just take him at pick number 3 because for some reason the Cardinals collective and it's they've drafted a lot of tweeners in the past and screwed that up. But that was different decision makers, and so I don't think it's going to creep into the heads of a brand new head coach the way it does the fan base and the people that are doing mock drafts in the media for the Cardinals. And so I think Arvell Reese very much in play even for pick number 3. But Manoa is the going away favorite to be the 3rd pick in the draft. But I feel like if you are the Cards and the Cowboys call you with the same exact offer that they went up to 6, then they would go up to 3 and the Cards would be like, heck yeah, let's do that, especially with the quarterback situation that they need to figure out either this year with Ty Simpson or, collect picks for next year. So I do think that pick 3 and 4 is the hinge point, because if one of those edges makes it to pick 4, then now you're not talking about Jordan Love. You're talking about Bailey or Reese at pick 4 to the Titans, which changes everything behind them as well. So that's why I think pick 3-4 is really the hinge point in what happens there. And I think that's when we can get some really early action.
So let's focus just on Arizona for a second, if you're cool with that, because I find it interesting that all these mockers and experts, etc., if Reese gets the 3, the Cardinals take him. But Bailey gets the 3, they don't. Like, Matt Williamson, really prefer Reese.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like the league does. I mean, what's really the difference? You know what I mean? So I find that interesting.
And there's been a lot of heat about Bailey at 2, and I don't know why that is, and maybe that's somebody throwing out some information to try to try to throw people off. But I think that would definitely change things. And I do think that Robert Saleh and the in our last mock, I had Bain going for even ahead of Love, and so it went quarterback, edge. I do think that if one of those edge rushers are there at 4, that's the direction the Titans would go. I think that's philosophically where they're going to be. And so only if Reese and Bailey aren't there, and if they are not okay with Ruben Bain and what's going on with him, arm length wise and off field wise, then it becomes potentially Jordan Love, and it still might be Carnell Tate at 4 too. So
absolutely true. Yeah. All those teams this isn't unusual. All those teams kind of need everything because they're bad.
Yes.
And there's 6 or 7 blue chip dudes that fill almost every need. So that jigsaw puzzle to me isn't super interesting if they all stay where they're at. But if teams are moving up, I think it becomes really interesting,
Right.
And I also think it's interesting. I definitely think Arizona would be in the market to move down. Kind of spoiler, I know we're going to talk about it a little later, but they end up with Ty Simpson in a couple of these mocks coming back in. Trading down from 3 might make it easier or more cuts at the pot, more bites at the apple to get Simpson in a different spot.
Right. Imagine that you just get a free quarterback.
Ty Simpson, yeah.
If you were to trade, like if it was a simple trade where it was 12 and 20 to go up to number 3, well, now you have a free pick to draft a quarterback, and you still get a first round player.
Yeah. So I mentioned I was on Locked On Dynasty today, and all we did is we went through Mel's mock for all the first 2 rounds. Skill position players. And we talked, they good dynasty landing spots or not. And we talked about Ty Simpson, and it's not particularly a great landing spot. But if you take that bite and you're still like the worst team in the league, just draft Arch next year. Like, it's not even that hard to get out of, especially if you get it like at a bonus prize like we're talking about,
Speaking of Ty Simpson, in Mel's mock, he has the Cardinals going up to get Ty Simpson at pick 30 with the Dolphins. I kind of like pick 28, to be honest with you. 27 is the Niners. I don't know if you're going to trade. I don't know if you're going to help your someone in your division go get a quarterback. Yeah. But 26 with the Bills and 28 with the Texans. By the way, the Texans love to trade out of this spot.
I would say that's a very Texans type of move.
And to bring that together with another topic about defensive tackles, you're going to draft a Christian Miller there. You for sure are willing to move down a few spots to either get Miller there, get McDonald, get whatever other, defensive tackle, because these guys are all so tight. So I think 28 is a real nice spot to move up if you are the Cardinals or the Jets. Let's say they want to go up and get that quarterback. But all these mocks have like the Jets, for some reason, not at all interested in Ty Simpson, but the Cardinals are the team that everybody thinks is the Ty Simpson team. Brugler has them just standing pat at 34 in drafting Simpson, which I think is one of the least likely scenarios, just because if you really like the quarterback, you're definitely going to jump in front of the Jets, right? I think
the 5th-year option matters at that position too.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially if he's going to sit a whole year or sit a majority of the year.
And
I love the Houston call.
Like, well, shoot, we'll take a quarterback at 33 if he's still here. And so the Cardinals, if you like Ty Simpson, you can't wait till 34. And if you wait till 34 to draft him, that's just telling the world that you didn't really even like him all that much.
That's true too. Right. I think there is something to be said about your locker room too. Is this is a first round quarterback we're building around? We love him. We wanted to take him 10 spots earlier than we did. We've been trying to trade up all day. I love your call with Houston here though, because what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, they traded out of the first round like in February or whatever. Or whatever. Yeah. It was way before the draft. They moved down to like 46 or something. Like, we don't care. Right. End up taking like Lassiter or one of those type of dudes.
Very active. And then they went the other way to get Stroud and
Anderson,
Anderson, right, back to back. So an active team that's certainly willing to move around, and they've done this move before where they move back. And the Bills as well have
good point.
Moved down, and the Chiefs are always willing to move around. So the end of the first round gets pretty interesting as well.
And like you said with the Texans too, Mel has Christian Miller as the only defensive tackle going in the first round, and he's gained a ton of steam because he doesn't play a ton of snaps at Georgia, and I love him. But again, is he much different than McDonald? And McDonald or Houston's the only team I've ever seen mocked with McDonald. you can move down 10 spots and get your choice of defensive tackle.
Yeah, if you were going to go guard or D tackle end of round 1, you're absolutely willing to trade into the second round before you
run stuffer.
Right. Yeah, especially a one-dimensional run stuffing. I want to talk more about defensive tackles real quick. I want to ask you this question because you cover the Steelers and you talk to a lot of Steelers fans. How come every fan base hates Ty Simpson?
I know, it's crazy.
If you put Ty Simpson in a mock to the Cardinals or to the Steelers or the Jets or whatever team, the Rams, like those fan bases absolutely hate the mock draft and rip it apart, and everyone hates Ty Simpson. Why is that?
One of my hunches is a lot of people, including myself, start to pay a lot more attention to college football down the stretch and in the playoffs. And that's when he was at his worst. Yep. I mean, he was great for 2 months and not as many people were watching unless you're totally dialed into college football. And so I don't know if you do this with the Niners, but like analyst Matt would understand Ty Simpson if the Steelers traded up from 53 to 35 and take a bite at the apple. Fanboy Matt would be like, that's a settled move. You know, that's too Pickett-ish.
Well, funny, it's the Cardinals thing with like, you did the thing and you didn't like it last time, so you don't want to do it this time because you don't want the mediocre quarterback that you draft too high, right? And so if it's a different team than the team that drafted Pickett, then maybe it feels differently, the fans in that case. But my argument for the Steelers is that it's like, because I think the other big part of it is everyone's looking ahead to 2027. It's like, oh, we could get Andrew Luck next year. Why would we draft a quarterback this year? But are the Steelers going to draft high enough for Arch Manning? I don't think
they never do. Right. I mean, Tomlin's not here, so maybe they will have a first losing season. But I mean, I don't think they're going to pick fourth.
It's like this perpetual thing. The Steelers are going to be drafting 20 something next year, and they're going to go, oh, okay, well, hey, 28. There's this other quarterback, right? Like how many times in a row?
We've been doing it for 3 years. Since Ben left. Right. And I'm the same way, though. Like, my plan would be to get your quarterback next year. If that means giving multiple firsts or whatever, if you're the Steelers, fine. And I think that's part of the back to your Ty Simpson question for all these fan bases is, man, why are we settling on Ty Simpson? Because next year we're going to draft Superman.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's the idea. We're like, all right, if he's there at 34, we'll take him. If he's there at, where are the Steelers? 51?
53, but yeah,
53.
right.
If he falls to 53, I guess we'll take him. We'll feel good about it there. I don't want to take him in the first round.
Right, because then we're passing on Josh Allen next year. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Defensive tackles, wide receivers, where are they going in this draft? Today's episode brought to you by Rocket Money. I'm sure you've gone through this. I know I've gone through this. You ever open your bank account and thought, where'd all that money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. This is how it works. It tracks your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. And many people are absolutely shocked by how many subscriptions they actually still have. It automatically categorizes your spending. That's always a tough word for me. Automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clear picture of your finances day to day and helps you save that money. So Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Okay, two fascinating positions here. One is a really strong position in this class. One is a pretty weak position in this class. It's defensive tackles and it's wide receivers. We were talking about Christian Miller. So let's talk defensive tackles. Miller, I feel like Woods went from preseason darling to falling out of the first round, and everyone's kind of pushing him right back up there into the first round area. I think Keldrick Falk is kind of like this as well, where it's like the league loved him. Everyone had him in the top 10, top 15 in their preseason mock drafts. And so is the media holding on to a past idea with these two players? Or does the league still really love these guys, even though you watch the tape and it's pretty underwhelming for both guys?
I wonder, because there's also a really poor free agency defensive tackle group too. So needs didn't go away. And I wonder if these people are the Danes and Mels of the world are just saying, maybe that's not the 26th best player, but where else are you going to get them? And I need a D tackle.
The 49ers are like, we don't want to draft these guys. Well, let's send a third to Dallas and get
that's a great move.
Digazua, right? Because
that's the move.
Not a class they want to be involved.
But Digazua would be a first-round pick in this class,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a pass rushing, juiced up interior player. There's not a lot.
He's better than Woods,
and even Woods, who you thought was going to be that, does not. He's undersized and didn't test athletically. So it's like, well, how do you draft that in the first round? Even if you liked his tape more from a year ago, you're really projecting a lot there. Falk has a really bad pressure rate. I'm talking about Falk, even though he's an edge rusher. Although
but he's more inside.
That 5 tech guy. I wish he was bigger at the combine to make it a lot easier to be like, oh, he's just going to play inside. And then Christian Miller
stuffers, there's plenty to pick from, but
right. And so you got Lee Hunter, you got Christian Miller, and Lee Hunter to me is not a top 50 player.
No.
You have
McDonald,
who's absolutely a beast, but we saw Tyleek Williams out of that same defense who looked like a beast, and he wasn't quite as beastly for the Lions in his rookie season.
You can't use a first-round pick on those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Big Citrus, there's Dante Corleone. There's tons of those run stuffer types.
Caleb Banks is the most unique, upside.
He's the most interesting guy to me.
He's got the foot injuries, and
he also seems to be motivated. Yeah, so.
Sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do with this class. They've all got the same grade. So are they just going to all go right in a row in that second round area?
I think they're all second rounders.
Yeah.
Woods to me screams bust. I mean, if you're under 300 pounds and you're not a great tester, defensive tackles almost always fail unless you're Aaron Donald. Well, he was a great tester.
And he's an amazing tester.
Yeah.
How do you take
those two things do not correlate at all in this league? Bad testing under 300 pounds is.
And I get teams are just like default to the defensive line. They run out of first round grades and like, all right, who do we like here? We need a tackle. Here's our favorite tackle. We'll draft him.
We'll just keep rotating them in and add to the mix. I get it, but it's just not a good group.
Yeah, but it does feel like Woods and Miller have the momentum right now above the other guys. It was Caden McDonald. It was Caleb Banks for a while because of his physical ability.
Senior Bowl was great for him too.
Yeah. Just be able to show up and do that. But it's gotten quiet for everybody except for now we're seeing Woods creep back in and Miller as well. So I feel like guys that are plugged in have that information.
Yeah. I think the draft analysts were very late to the party on Miller.
You know who else got a little bit of late helium here is Jordyn Tyson. We were talking about him as can't be a guy that you would call a lock to be a first-round pick because of the injury stuff. He still hasn't worked out, but he does have a very late workout. He's going to be the last guy that works out for this entire draft class, I think, at the end of this week, Jordyn Tyson. I don't know if he's going to run 40 or not. He might just do position drills, but at least he'll
do something.
Show that he can run, even though he's been dealing with a hamstring since October. Missed games every season. We've already gone through all of this, but the insiders are starting to creep him back up in their mock drafts. Daniel Jeremiah yesterday heard him say that, he could still be the first wide receiver drafted. So apparently, Matt, teams aren't that worried about his injury history. It worries the bejesus out of me, though.
So people I trust, and I'm not anything close to a reporter, have told me that the league is not as worried about Tyson's injuries as people tend to think.
Okay.
I think it's also interesting in these mocks, everybody has the Rams taking a receiver at 13, and that's usually wide receiver 3. I mean, Tate's definitely gone, of course.
Yes.
But like Mel has Tyson going to the Chiefs,
You know who's aggressive is the Rams. How about the Rams go up and get Tate at 7 or something, right?
Right. That sounds like something they do.
Yeah. Or 6 with the Browns.
That's not a bad call.
CJ Allen, by the way, I want to talk more about wide receivers in a second, but CJ Allen, by the way, did have his pre-draft workout finally. The linebacker from Georgia, who was in all the first round mocks, kind of fell out of him, ran somewhere between 4.47, 4.50, which is a really good workout for him. And you want to talk about a green dot player? Maybe that's your Robert Saleh linebacker early round 2, but maybe he creeps back into the first round conversation.
Did even injury? Is there a reason he didn't do the combine? I didn't know anything about that.
Unless there was an injury, because I think people started to really question his athleticism. That was one of the knocks I saw. But man, if you're 4.50 or faster, that's awesome for an off-ball backer.
A month and a half ago,
linebacker, green dot guy.
Yeah, a month and a half ago, he was in like every first round mock. And maybe he is that late first guy.
So here's a note from Schrager. And looking at these mock drafts, the wide receivers all go fairly early. Tyson is a big key to this as well for that run of wide receivers in round 1. Peter Schrager, who's very plugged in, and his mocks are more accurate as far as how many how many players are in round one, not necessarily to the right team, right?
That's right. He's kind of known for that.
He said that he expects all the first round wide receivers to be gone by 24, which is the pick that the Browns currently have.
6 of them?
Yeah, so that would be
including 6. Concepcion and Boston, and
Concepcion, Boston, Tyson, Lemon, Tate, and
Cooper.
Yes, Omar Cooper. Yeah.
Okay.
On by 24.
I'm scrolling Mel's. I mean, he has Cooper going 16, which seems early to me. Boston at 20, which seems early to me.
Yeah, that feels a little early. I like Boston, maybe a second rounder. Didn't run. Mykel Lemon's a little small. I think that's where like the teens, this will blow up after the kind of the more blue chip guys, and then teams will go to the wide receiver groups. Tyson's got the injury stuff. Cooper just like goes up once. Every mock draft I see just goes up one spot.
Yeah.
Then he's at 21. Then he's at 19. Then he's, now he's at 16. And then before long, we're going to see him to the Rams at 13 before we get to draft day, I feel like.
Concepcion's the one that I adore and doesn't seem like he has any helium at all, that the other ones are going past him.
I think the tape watchers really love his explosiveness. Some of these guys are just like the length in the like the pass catching range. Like traditionally that, Casey Concepcion, Mykel Lemon, they're kind of slot guys more than outside guys, just because of what their size is, sub 6 feet. And they both kind of, they both did well to be at least closer to 6 feet, 5'11" and a half or ish and 190 ish or over 190. So that was pretty big for them. And I think they can both play on the outside, but their catch radius is not big. They're short armed guys. And I don't know if they're going to be for everybody, but
the league's going away from shorter. Like, I don't think like Branch and Banks and those guys are going to go nearly as high as people think. I mean, they're the real short guys.
Yeah. Branch is like the most obvious gadget player ever because he's like electric with the ball in his hands, can be a return man, body catches everything, catch radius. So, and all
you put it right on him.
And they tried to make him a real receiver at USC. Didn't really quite work. And then he just became a 100% gadget guy. Like, all of his catches were within 3 yards or behind the line of scrimmage, which is what you're going to. So you draft him, you probably have to believe you're only going to have a gadget guy and maybe hope for more.
The returner. Yeah, right.
At least the Concepcions and Lemons, you can project an outside role, kind of a Z wide receiver for you. But also probably you like them more in the slot in those 3 wide formations. But teams are going more to tight ends. And the Rams are one of those teams. So the Rams continue to get those players, but they have less slot receivers, and their outside receivers, they move into the slot. So that could work still, but they're the team that has the most tight ends on the field. So less 3 wide sets.
But more like condensed formations where the receivers are closer to the ball and things
all
like that.
All the outside receivers are slots anyway. So it's just all power slot all the time, basically.
Seattle does a lot of that too. Like, why they've Cup and Smith-Njigba? Well, they're both really close to the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Last one I'm going to throw out there is I was shocked, and I know Mel knows the stuff and is way dialed into me, but Seattle taking Jadarian Price at 32.
I've seen that a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think that's a TJ Parker or a corner, and
take your back in the second round.
Get another back. You can find a back in the second round. Jadarian Price might be there in the second round.
He might be right. That just seems super early for him and not a smart move.
Like, get a defender that you were poached a lot from. And that's the straw that stirs your championship drink in Seattle. Best defender at 32. And if you're worried that someone's going to sneak in and grab Price from you late in the second round, move up a little bit.
They don't have a lot of picks, but I mean, trade something for next year or
everyone wants to
settle for whatever running backs there at the end of the second round.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so clear as mud. That's where we are here.
Trade for Pollard whenever they draft Love.
Yeah. Just
you'll find one.
A great idea, actually. I never thought about that. You can find a running back.
You can get one between now and
training camp. Don't do the thing we saw the Chiefs do. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the end of round. Right. Let's learn from history, folks. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. And Matt and I back tomorrow with your mailbag questions. Let's talk draft. Get them in at BD Peacock, at Williamson NFL, in the YouTube comments. Talk to you then right here on the NFL Six Pack.